Alright everyone, welcome back.
いや、間違ってなんかないけどな。い
Sure,
や、失敗は数えきれないけど、俺は親父みたいな正義の味方になるんだ。間違ったことなんてできないだろう。
and here I thought I had to read that. Okay.
だからそれが間違いなのです。シロ、あの事故はあなたのせいでもないし、その責任はあなたが負うべきものでもない。あなたには償うべきものなどないのです。
That's obvious. It was just an accident, and I was just a victim. Sure, I may be dealing with survivor's guilt.
以前リンが言っていました。シロの自己犠牲と献身ぶりは異常だと。それは私も同感です。あなたは自らの命を代価として人を助けようとするのではない。あなたは単に初めから自分の命が感情に入っていないのではないですか。
Maybe my pupils have dilated. I'm not sure why, but I can't seem to focus on Saber's face.
あの事故を忘れることはあなたにはできないでしょう。ですが覚えている限りシロは変わらない。それは苦しいのではないですか。
苦しい？俺が？
Well, yeah, that's painful. Saber doesn't have to remind me of that. It is obvious. So many people died. It was absolute hell. Something like that causing you pain is only natural. And besides, if I didn't feel that, it might all be meaningless.
うん。確かにこうして思い出すと辛い。けど、それは終わったことだ。今さらどうにかできることじゃないだろう。
Saber doesn't answer. Instead, she claws at her arm in frustration.
私は聖杯を手に入れなければならない。けれどそれはシロにも当てはまる。
セイバー。
シロには聖杯が必要だ。私があなたに呼び出されたのは必然だったのです、マスター。
I don't know how to respond to that.
先に眠ります。シロもあまり無茶はしないように。
Saber leaves. I fold my arms and think. Do I need the Holy Grail? A vessel that grants wishes to its possessor? A vessel which contains unlimited quantities of magical energy, for which it is said nothing is impossible? Were I to get it, it could easily grant my wish.
いや、違う。どう考えても聖杯なんていらないぞ、俺。
Nope, I definitely don't need it. Because I don't have any wishes that can't come true or hope for anything that's impossible. I wouldn't have a dream if it weren't something I could attain myself. The night grows darker. In the familiar old shed, lit only by the moon, I listen to the distant wind. Oh, beginning another new day. Alright. All in. Here. Infinity Arms. What a chapter name. The sky is gray, the hill crimson with corpses. The heavy clouds drift away, heralding the battle's end. I know this scene. I've seen it so many times now. This is one of Saber's battles. She fought and won so many victories. Scenes like this are almost commonplace for her. Afterwards, she'll return to her castle where her victory will be praised and celebrated. Then she'll prepare for the next battle. This is just life for her. is only one of 12 great battles she fought. And so she does not truly remember victory so much as she just accepts it as a fact. I think she's misguided. This is not a dream. It's just a cold reality. Her past that can't be changed. The moment she drew the sword, she stopped being human. She took over for her father as a feudal lord and became a king with many knights. She was known as King Arthur, and Artoria, the life of a girl who once aspired to be a knight, changed so radically. No. Was forced to end her life as she knew it, might be a better way to put it. In that instant, the girl who still had such childlike features ceased to be, and became the king of knights. She acted like she was the king's son. The ruler of territories and knights had to be male. Only her father and the mage knew the king was female. She covered herself in iron and hid that truth for the rest of her life. I don't know why I never realized the implications until now. As much public exposure she had, she managed to pass herself off as a male the whole time. The sheer suffering she likely endured must have been incredible, but a simple observer could never really understand. Time passes. 10 years worth of memories as king, and there was only one common thread that entire time. Even when she's on the throne. Even when she's walking through the hallway. Even when she's on the battlefield. Not a soul spoke to her. Even the round table, filled as it was with knights boasting of their valor, always fell silent the moment the king appeared. So that's what it meant. She was merely tolerated as an idol. Many knights looked down on Artoria with her boyish appearance and were ultimately not comfortable entrusting her with their blades. But because she managed to draw the sacred sword that no one else could, they had to obey, even if only to keep up appearances. They just accepted the disgrace, believed it would pass. Sacred sword or no, the king was merely a child. Even with Merlin's support, the king would surely fail eventually. When that happens, they need only take the sacred sword from her and select a new king. That's probably what most of the knights thought. But that's not how it went. The knight, only just reaching adulthood, was a flawless king. She enforced peace among the squabbling lords and fought off invaders as well. Of course, this wasn't due to the sacred sword's powers. The sacred sword only protects the king. The king, on the other hand, protects their nation. And though her deeds was always able to maintain control of her knights, the sacred sword protects her only from her enemies. It does nothing to help her hold sway over the hearts of her subjects. She worked herself to the bone to be the ideal king to all. At that point, the knights had no choice but to obey. They held their dissatisfaction for the young king in check because the king was truly perfect. She strived to be an ideal king. The only condition for the knights' support was their king be exactly that, the ideal king. There was no room for Artoria to be a human being. She could be a king and only a king. The peerless knight who drew the sacred sword, who stopped aging from the moment, and who went on to win 12 great wars. The more perfect she became, the more people stayed away from her. As this continued, the knight grew more and more isolated. That was who she was. But she did well. In fact, she did too well. She defeated her enemies and minimized her own side's casualties. No matter the battle, sacrifices must be made. So she believed it was her duty to make sacrifices to bolster her army and to defeat the enemy without wasting lives. She would strip the resources from one village to prepare her army, then defeat the invaders before they could strike her land, saving perhaps 10 villages. That was the king's approach, and it proved the best strategy at the time. But the knights must not have been happy. To them, only the foreign invader should have died, and the only true victory is made without any such sacrifices. There shouldn't be any need to sacrifice the territory before battle. They were going to win regardless, so the sacrifices were pointless. There wouldn't be any sacrifices, so the king's actions were a waste. It was, of course, total nonsense. Once battle began, the knights spared not a thought for those little villages. No one thought twice about trampling the villages. Protecting them was never a consideration. The knights claimed there's nothing to be done when the enemy destroys such villages, but to let them be destroyed is a great crime. Obviously, she knew that. But a king cannot worry about their personal feelings. She had to kill her emotions to make her decisions, and her knights had to suppress their own feelings to obey. And so sacrifices are made, and the string of victory stabilizes the nation. And in return, animosity for the king grew. King Arthur just doesn't understand how people feel. so one knight was heard to say as they left the castle. What a ridiculous story. She was expected not to be human, but they hated her precisely because she didn't have human emotions. The Age of War continued. The animosity of the knights who had been dissatisfied with the king only grew more so after that knight left. They forced her to deal with every foreign and domestic enemy in hopes of pushing her over the edge. Collapse was imminent. If these many problems confronting the nation were never resolved, it would crumble. Even if all of them were to be resolved, what awaits is more of the same. But that did not concern the king. Even should she be abandoned, feared, or betrayed, she will remain steadfast, because she had long since made up her mind. She abandoned her emotions the moment she decided to draw that sword. This happened long, long ago. Knights from across the nation gathered to try to draw the sword from the stone, but none of them could do it, and the knights instead would showcase their skill on horseback, eager to crown the best among them king. The knights flocked to the arena in droves. The sword and the stone lay outside, forgotten. From afar, it looked more like a festival. Even in the distance, the sound of valiant cavalrymen clashing is audible. The knights clashed in the distance and the rock lay forgotten. What was going through the girl's mind as she stood in front of that rock? Before she realized it, an unknown mage stood behind her.
それを手に取る前にきちんと考えた方がいい。
He tries to stop her for her own good.
それを手にしたが最後、君は人間ではなくなる。
He also warned her that many would hate her and that she would die a gruesome death. She must have been terrified. The mage showed her the future. He showed her the end she would meet if she drew that sword.
いいえ、
It only made her all the more determined. Even after seeing that future, she only gave a firm nod. The mage asked again if that was what she wanted.
多くの人が笑っていました。それはきっと間違いではないと思います。
She took the sword in her hand. The mage looked troubled and turned away.
奇跡には代償が必要だ。君はその一番大切なものを引き換えにするだろう。
He departed with those prophetic words. That's right. She just wanted to protect everyone. But to do so, she had to abandon her desire to protect people. She cannot protect her country as its king if she still has a human heart. Even knowing this, she drew the sword. Even knowing this, she vowed to live as a king. So no matter what happens, she will remain steadfast. She abandoned her human heart. She was willing to give that up to protect her nation. Who could have known the girl made such a noble oath?
戦うと決めた。
Come what may and however might end.
それでも戦うと決めたのだ。
Even if an inevitable solitary doom awaited her. And her end did come. The Battle of Camelin. King Arthur set out on a campaign, and one of her knights usurped her throne, splitting the nation in two, and sparking a terrible conflict. Legend has it that this battle brought an end to knighthood and chivalry. She killed every knight who once served her, and invaded the land she'd fought to defend. All the knights who followed her were gone, and her own body lay injured and immobile. There was no one left around her. As ever, nothing has changed. All she had in her heart was the pride of a king. She'd known about this ending. Still, she believed there was nothing to be gained from this failure, which is why she kept fighting without her failing or disgracing herself. She had not regrets. If she were to have one, it would be seeing her nation in ruin. She raised her gaze. Maybe she would be able to see her castle in the distance from this hill. She saw only the aftermath of the battle, a dense forest, and a lake to which she must return. That's right. The hill she'd meant to charge over has become a wall she can't climb. Strength left her body. For the first time, she loosened her grip on the sacred sword. And that's where it ended. It was only natural that the dream would end here, since there is nothing beyond that moment in her memories. And that is why this end cannot be rewritten. She worked so hard, and she was resented, betrayed. Nobody understood that she loved her people more than her nation. She came to be known as a merciless king. She was never rewarded or understood. On top of the crimson-stained sword-strewn hill, the girl sat on the edge of death, isolated and betrayed. God, that's so tragic. It makes you feel for Saber even more. I wake to the sound of rain.
朝になってる。
I grip my spinning head and sit up. It's just before 6 o'clock. The rain patters softly outside.
今の夢は
No, there's no doubt about it. It was Saber's past. It was the end of her life a long, long time ago. Nothing can change it now. I grit my teeth. I can hear them grinding. I don't know why, but I'm so mad.
くそ。なんだよそれ。
Just thinking about it pisses me off. Her past. The fact that she didn't think anything of it. Me thinking the dream was nothing before. I hate it. I don't even understand why, but it's making me angry. I don't like it. I don't like it one damn bit. No matter how you slice it, her life was unfair. So unfair. She only wanted to help people. She wanted nothing for herself. But as hard as she worked, nobody understood her. Not even at the very end. That really pisses me off. It's so unfair. That's right. If she worked harder than anyone and she doesn't receive any reward, it's all just a bunch of crap. She should be rewarded for everything she's done. But how could that happen at this point? What, just tell her she did a good job? Do I tell her how wonderful she was? Of course not. Nothing so simple could do her
分
justice.
かってる。答えなんて一つだけだ。
That's right. If she's to be rewarded, the work she devoted her life to should be repaid. Artoria needs happiness to match all the battles she fought.
けど、それで何を
I'm out of ideas. I don't have any idea how to make people happy. I'm so useless at this kind of thing. My entire life I wanted to be a champion of justice, but all I ever did was lend a hand here and there. I believed everyone around me would be happy if I just helped people. Or rather, I couldn't face myself if I didn't believe that. Helping people and saving people are very much not the same thing. And if I don't understand the difference myself, I can't possibly reward Saber. Breakfast is the same as usual. I get the sense Saber and Tosaka are pretty adaptable since they've already gotten used to Ilya being here.
で、あんたはどうするのよ、シロ。残るマスターは3人。聖杯戦争だって期限がないってわけじゃないんだから、そろそろ行動に移らないとまずいわよ。いつも後手を踏むってのも情けないし。
Tosaka's right. There's nothing wrong with me physically, and Saber's completely healed. We should be done resting as of yesterday.
そうだな。けど、行動を起こすにしても、それは夜からだ。日が昇っているうちは、今まで通りにする。
本気？まあ、相手の情報がないんだから、闇雲に出歩いても仕方がないけどさ。じゃあ、シロは今日もセイバーにいじめられるわけ？
I'm gonna continue my sword training with Saber. That's what we've been doing every day, and a master should always be prepared for battle.
リン、私とシロが行っているのは鍛錬です。今の発言は人聞きが悪すぎます。
いや、まあそうだな。午前中は今まで通りセイバーにしごかれるよ。
シロ、あなたまでそのように言われては私の立場がないのですが。
あ、いや、悪いセイバー。ぼーっとしてて聞いてなかった。
ですから、リンの言いぶりは乱暴すぎるという件です。まったく、どうしたのです、シロ。今朝は覇気が感じられません。 朝食もどことなく彩りに欠けますし、昨日も遅くまで蔵にいたのですか？
Saber may be questioning me, but there's no real bite to it. I can sense that she trusts me, which makes it even harder to meet her gaze now. If our eyes meet, I can't help thinking of that scene in the hill.
わかりました。後ほどカツを入れて差し上げます。それでは今日も道場で鍛錬をするでいいのですね、シロ。
ああ、頼む。イリアはどうするんだ？
私も昨日と同じだよ。雨に濡れるのは嫌いだから外に出たくないわ。
そうか、そうしてくれると助かる。できればイリアには家にいてほしいからな。外に出るのは危ない。
うん、昨日みたいにお弁当作ってくれるなら一緒にいてあげてもいいよ。
It seems like Ilya took a liking to the bento yesterday. I'm a little embarrassed that something so simple pleased her, but at the same time, I'm glad to know Ilya enjoyed the bento I made.
なんだ、それじゃあ昨日と同じってことね。私も調べ物があるから部屋にこもるけど、午後になったら顔を出しなさい。ちょっと話があるから。
調べ物ですか？
そう、セイバーなら分かってると思うけど、昨日から竜道寺の様子がおかしいのよ。あれだけ精力的にやってた魔力集めも止まってるし、何か動きがあったのは明白でしょ。まあ残ったマスターの中で一番厄介そうなのは竜道寺のやつだしね。使いまでもこしらえて中の様子を探ってみるわ。
それでしたら探索に専念した方がいいのではないですか？無理に時間を割いてシロに享受する必要はないと思いますが。
まあそこはそれ。悪いけど我慢してちょうだい。私もね、まだ危なっかしくて放っておけないのよ。敵に殺されるのならいいけど、魔術をしくじって自滅でもされたら死として面目がないでしょ。
はい、リンの言う通りです。私はどうかしていました。リンの授業が必要ないなんてどうして思ってしまったのか。
その理由は簡単だけど、まあ知らぬが花ってことで。それじゃあ午前中の鍛錬頑張ってね。そいつ頑丈だから死なない程度に痛めつけるぐらいが最適よ。
That's not what we really want. And with that, Tosaka leaves the room.
セイバー、言っとくけど、遠坂の言い分なんて本気にするなよ。あいつはセイバーの打ち込みを受けてないからあんなこと言えるんだからな。
Very, very true. Please go easy. Or as easy as you can. I tell her just in case. For some reason, she seems pleased.
はい、分かっています。シロの体に関してなら私の方が熟知していますから。
That's that connection they share. She responds calmly.
どうしました？食べないのですか、イリアスフィール。昨日に比べるとまだ3割にも届いていませんが。
違うよ、こっちのは食べられないの。私辛いのはダメなんだ。
はあ、そう辛いとは思いませんが、この香辛料は鶏肉に合っています。
マスタードは嫌いなんだってば。いいから食べて。その代わりそっちのイチゴの食べてあげる。
何をするのです、イリアスフィール。こら戻しなさい。それはダメです。甘いものが欲しいならリンゴのパイがあるでしょう。
Ilya and Saber sit next to each other, bickering like two close sisters. It's just past noon. The three of us sit and face each other, eating lunch together just like yesterday. Ah, right. It's not just lunch that's the same as yesterday. Our training today was as well. Today, though, is even more awkward. I don't know how to explain it, but something in my chest stirs whenever I face Saber, and I find myself unable to rush at her with the same desperation I used to. It's not just me. Saber has been acting weird too. It used to be that she never let an opening go by. The last couple of days, she just waited for me to make a move, which was meant the two of us just kind of ended up staring at each other for a while.
二人ともどうしたの？見ててあんまり面白くないの？
Elia's criticisms helped us get back into the swing of things. I managed to go after Saber, but ended pretty much the same. She batted aside my half-ass attack, but I didn't bother countering. Since she didn't follow up, I whirled on Saber, lunged again, and was once more repelled, though she again didn't counterattack. Our lackluster session ended about 10 minutes ago. Once again, it was at Saber's suggestion we began our lunch break. We're having the same thing we did yesterday, sandwiches. I figured it wouldn't do to make them exactly the same as yesterday, so I used a few other ingredients. Everyone seems happy. Ilia is excited over the colorful sandwiches, and Saber takes a deep breath preparing for her meal. I think that's Saber's way of showing her enthusiasm. It's much rowdier than yesterday. It's raining, and the hardwood floor is cold, but this also feels like a picnic.
ああ、もうそこまでです、イリアスフィール。それでは服が汚れてしまう。まったく、シローの真似をして一口で食べるからそうなるのです。あなたの口は小さいのですから、もう少しおとなしく食べるべきでしょう。
分かってないのはセイバーの方よ。こういうお弁当はね、お行儀を気にする方が失礼なのよ。これはピクニックなんだから、こういう風にするのが本当なんだよね、シロ。
Ilia happily munches on a sandwich. And Saber reluctantly wipes Ilia's mouth with a napkin.
くすぐったいってば、セイバー。
Well, I didn't see this coming. Saber and Ilia seem to have warmed up to each other.
驚いた。拒否しないのですか、イリアスフィール。
なんで？私、優しくされるの好きだよ。うん。他のやつが私に触れたら殺すけど、セイバーは綺麗だから許してあげる。それに、今は同じお弁当を食べる仲間だもの。セイバーが私のこと好きなら、私もセイバーのことは好きよ。
It's so simple for Ilia. Saber, clearly taken aback, stares at Ilia dumbfounded. Even I, just a spectator as this unfolds, am caught off guard by Ilia's smile.
何？セイバーは楽しくないの？
いえ、それは。
私は楽しいよ。外は雨で、ここはこんな殺風景な場所で、欲しかったものは何もない。けど、こうしていると嬉しいの。一人でいるより、ずっとあったかいでしょ。なのに、セイバーは楽しくないの？
Something in Ilia's smile must have struck Saber. Her innocence, that's what. Saber sighs deeply and looks back at her.
そうですね。私もこうしているのはとても楽しい。
And there it is, that heartfelt smile that shatters hearts everywhere. She sounds bright, and then Saber smiles in a way I've never seen from her. I don't know why, but I'm getting emotional. That smile was great. It was for herself, and herself alone. It's not the usual smile I see from her whenever she's protecting someone. It's a smile of sheer happiness for her, from her.
シロ、どうしました？そんな顔して。何かいいことでもあったのですか？
いや、別に何も。って今は変な顔してたか、俺。
うん、してたわ。お父さんみたいな顔。遠くからこっちを見守ってますって風なの。私、そういう顔は嫌いよ。
I don't like it. Why? I don't understand what she's talking about, but I guess I was just smiling.
そうか。 まあいいことがあったからな。ついにやけちまったのかもしれない。
はあ、いいことですか？